Okay, it has been a while since I did another YouTube video, and that's because I've been really busy with the hats. The carbon fiber cowboy hats have been taking up a lot of my time. I failed with the 3D prints, I did fiberglass molds, and that's been working out fantastic, so I've been doing a lot of those. Recently, Shining 3D reached out to me and they asked me if I'd like to try out the EINSTAR 2 and share my opinions of it, and I definitely was interested, and so they sent me a unit. Now, I'm very excited to start using it. I don't care for unboxing videos, however, this is a fresh unit, and since there's not really much content on it right now, granted it's not revealed yet, but as soon as it will be, I guess I'll do a quick little recording of me unboxing and sharing the contents of inside the box. Some people are interested in that, and if you're not, you can skip ahead because I actually want to get started at scanning and using the unit, but for the sake of some people's interest, I will record the unboxing of the unit, and then we'll go from there. So yes, feel free to fast forward if you don't want to watch this boring part of the video.
So here we go. This is what's inside. And so we got a little wall charger. Great. Now the actual hero unit. All right, put this aside. Just like the previous case, nice quality. I'm not really going to go into details. It's all the same. So here's the actual unit. Very tiny, much smaller than the Vega actually. Very cool. All right, then we got little frame, we got the dots. This looks like it's a battery charger, I want to say. Yep, so we'll need that. All right, put this back, put these away. I don't need the dots, I got plenty of my own. There we go. Now we have 2 batteries. These are what go inside the unit, obviously, so we'll take those out. We'll need those. Put the case away. Looks like we have our hero wire. Very interested in seeing how this actually functions, because I know from my understanding it's wireless, so this is going to be used somehow. I just don't know how yet. I'm also curious how I get to preview what I'm scanning without a screen on the back, but I'll learn all that here shortly. And then let's see what's inside. As always, so you have your packaging thing. So it looks like we do have everything as promised. Based on that, our calibration board, as always. Perfect. So we'll take that out. We will need that. All right. And then you got your strap. I don't need the strap. Don't use the strap. So awesome. That in a nutshell is a quick breakdown of unboxing the unit. So what I'm going to do next is set it all up, put the batteries inside. I mean, I don't really know if you care to watch that, but it looks like you just pop it in. Oh, it looks like it only uses 1 battery at a time, but they give you 2 so you could have 1 charged, I guess. So plus and minus, so here we go. Pop that in. Nice and simple. Looks like it just uses magnets to hold that down. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to actually go on the computer, probably hook it up, see how it reacts to the app, and then I'll go from there because I don't know what I'm doing yet, but hopefully I'll figure that out real soon and real quick, and then I'll get to recording step 2. All right.
Figured I'd make a little video of how to connect the scanner. So I got the battery in and I got the software open, which is EINSTAR Hub. And as you can see right now, well, I have it already connected in the past, but this is kind of what happens is when you open it up with nothing connected, you get this window. So all I'm doing here is turning on the scanner. So I'm just gonna press and hold. There we go. And now I'm just waiting for the lights. One's gonna be green and the blue's gonna be flashing. So just kind of waiting for it. So there we go. This is the light sequence you're waiting for. And then just click on the refresh button for nearby devices. And actually I'll place it next to the laptop because that's what I'm actually using. As you can see now, the device showed up on the screen. So I'm just gonna click that, and it's connected. And now you got green lights. And that's as simple as connecting the scanner goes. So next, I'm just gonna start scanning a few things, and we'll see how the quality looks. All right, figured I would start with the first test scan, and it's going to be the ZX6R motor that I have laying around. It's got a lot of detail, and it's also got a lot of grunge, which is great for tracking. So it should be a pretty smooth, quick, easy scan. And I'll just kind of go through the process of utilizing the EINSTAR 2. So in the app, I'm just starting a brand new scan, new project, like you would typically. For this one, I am doing an IR scan. Object mode, high res, which on the EINSTAR 2, it's 0.5. And I'll be doing a EINSTAR 1 versus EINSTAR 2 comparison further in this video. But for the moment, this is what I'm using. So I'm just going features, medium to large objects, and I don't need the texture, so I'm not even gonna worry about that. So I'm gonna click confirm. There we go. And this is just how awesome this little tool is of its convenience with it being wireless. So I'm just gonna start recording on my other camera so you can have a different perspective. So all I'm gonna do is press the play button, and just like the traditional EINSTAR, it's gonna start the scan. Oh, so it says scanner not connected. So all I'm gonna do is go to the refresh device. I don't really care for that, but let's turn on Wi-Fi. So because the EINSTAR does use a Wi-Fi signal, it does unfortunately take over the internet if you're wireless. So again, I'm gonna do a pros and cons later on, and that's gonna be one of the things I'll go over. So I'm just gonna press play. There we go. And we got our engine showing up. So now I'm just gonna press play again like you normally would on any device. And actually the one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press pause quickly. And my personal workflow is I love the data quality indicator. So here, whatever's gray is bad, blue is good. So it's a little different than the traditional EINSTAR or XSTAR software, but it works just fine. So here we go. It got tracking immediately. We're gonna start scanning away. So the one thing I have noticed, the field of view of this is much better than the EINSTAR 1. So it makes tracking so much better and scanning faster. And as you can see as well, with it being wireless, this is just extremely convenient to just move around and capture details from under the object, around the object, and you could do it all in one pass versus in the past. Sometimes simply the wires just get in the way, so I would have to pause the scan or move the object around. As you can see here, we're just scanning away. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the GoPro and I'm gonna shut up. I'm just gonna continue scanning this engine, and I'll just leave my other camera recording. And then once the scan is complete, I'll process the data and I'll upload the OBJ, because some software don't like STLs. My software, for example, that I use for designing. So OBJ is the more friendly format that I prefer. So I'll upload an OBJ of this scan on the internet so everyone can take a look at what the quality looks like. So with that being said, time to scan away. All right, and here we have the point cloud. It looks beautiful. So now we're just gonna do it as you would always do. You mesh the model,
My personal go-to is I do absolutely no filtering, no smoothing, nothing. I want it as raw as I could get it. No removing spikes, nothing. I want the data exactly as the scanner saw it. And then afterwards, if I want to manipulate it and clean it up, I do. But that's for my personal preference. That's a matter of opinion. So I'm just gonna let this process, and then I'll just spit out the OBJ, and then we'll start scanning some tiny things, testing out the laser setup. All right, and here's the model. We have to confirm. Sorry. There we go. Looks great. Well, it's a little grainy over here, and yeah. But anyhow, let me export the scan. I'll let you personally look at it and be the judge. But as I mentioned in part 2 of this, after we do the scanning, I'm going to compare the traditional EINSTAR 1 to EINSTAR 2. And what we'll do is we'll just scan, like, let's say half of the motor and see how that looks in comparison, because that is also very important to know how well they compare with IR mode, at least, because I know that one doesn't have lasers. This one does. So there's a few perks to this one with tiny objects, but it's also very important, like IR mode. For me, that is a big one because I work on making car parts and such. So I need good quality scans of big items. So here we go. So we'll just name this ZX6R motor, and I'll just do the OBJ. Actually, I'll just do both in case someone wants an STL instead of OBJ. So I'll just upload both. So let me export that, and then we'll start scanning tiny things. Okay, so I placed a bunch of these tiny markers that are included with the packaging when you get it. And I hope this is enough. I'm also using this marker pad that I have from another package. Nothing to do with EINSTAR. This is my own. So anyhow, I went to create a new project. We're doing laser scan. There we go. And then we're doing markers, brightness, I guess neutral, show data quality indicator. I don't care for texture. Medium, large. You know what? I'll just leave texture off. I don't want the texture. So there we go. It's going to be a normal scan. All right. So I move things a little bit closer so I can see. So I'm turning this on, and it is picking it up. And so now what I'm going to do is just press play and start scanning away. And I will say, this is my first time scanning with the laser mode, so it could be operator error on how the quality comes out. So I'm not going to say I'm an expert when it comes to the laser mode, but we'll see how this works. So I'm going to pause it, and we're going to take a look at what the data looks like. Is just isolate the top, connected, invert. I guess we didn't really capture any of the dark elements. So let me do this again. So see, the laser mode does give you the option to do just to generate point cloud without optimizing, which is amazing. I wish they added that to the other mode, but anyhow, I'm gonna quickly just create a point cloud so you can see the details it's picking up. And then what I'll do is I'll just spray some dueling spray on it, and we'll try one more time. So, all right, so there it is. We sprayed it down. Now let's try this again. I'm gonna turn this on. And maybe I have to adjust the brightness. So let's try that as well. So let's increase the brightness. We'll go full brightness and see if that's good or not. All right, let's just start scanning away, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it, and let's just take a look at what the data looks like. So I'm gonna just connect it, invert, No, I'm actually not going to do any of that. All right, so we're just gonna create a point cloud. And let's see what it looks like now that we have the dulling spray on. Oh, that looks really good. All right, so let's do this. Let's mesh the model. And I guess the one thing I do want to do is fill marker holes. That was the one thing, again, because I don't really do markers, so this is something I don't remember to do all the time. So we're gonna process that. We'll just do a quick edit. Okay, so there is our scan data, confirm. And that looks really good. I really like how fine these details are. And so let's see. Oh, I picked up that nice indent. I'm gonna actually use one of these reference things. So what I really like is all these like fine elements. So the seams, to showcase where the opening happens, it captured that, which is really, really thin and hairline like. And then this little indent is just beautiful. It's so subtle, as you can see. Like when I move the needle, as you can see, that indent is almost non-existent, but it's there and it picked it up. So this looks really good. And I'll export this out so that way whoever's interested could take a look. So let's do cap top, STL and OBJ again. So I'll upload that, and now let's try to scan a quarter and see what that looks like. All right, so this is the tiny little quarter. Can't even focus it with the GoPro, but we're gonna do new project. Let's say coin, just to make it easy. Laser scan. Okay. So now I do know they have this object, reflective box. So we're gonna use that. And I don't care for texture again. There we go. So let's turn on preview mode, grab the scanner, and off we go. So let me just pause it and we'll just take a look at what it's doing. All right, well, I guess we'll just manually select this, invert, delete. Okay. All right, now we're just gonna mesh the model. Ooh. I guess we'll see what this looks like. Yeah, so it's probably not a fair element to judge the scanner by because it's so tiny, but it tried. It really tried. Unfortunately, it's just the details are really, really small. And maybe if I had a bunch of little trackers around it, we could get closer, but this is what the results I got. So again, just want to do a quick test just to showcase it. So now, let's do a comparison. Let's do EINSTAR 1 versus EINSTAR 2 and see where the quality ends up. Okay, so looking at these two units side by side, the packaging is obviously adaptable to what the unit is, but size-wise, let's take a look. The EINSTAR 2 is a lot smaller. And then lengthwise, you can see the height, something like that. So they're both very comfortable. This is obviously smaller, easier to move around, wireless. So huge perks there. And you could also use this wired if you want. This one, unfortunately, mandatory wired. So those are the two comparisons side by side, and we'll just take a quick look at weight differences. All right, excuse the dirtiness of my scale. It's for all my carbon fiber stuff. So let's see here. The first one where it weighs 597 grams, and EINSTAR 2, 424. So let's see here. The difference between the two is 171 grams. So the EINSTAR 2 is lighter as well, wireless and lighter. So again, these are tiny objects, so it's not really a big deal. But in case someone is interested, I've thrown it in there just so you have an idea. Now let's do the real test, and that's the scanning of it. All right, got it hooked up. Now we are just going to do a new scan. So I'm going to do a new folder, name it compare. So there we go, select. So we'll just name this EINSTAR 1 motor. There we go. So medium object, hybrid, we're just doing features. So here's the deal, and I want to make sure I'm playing fair. So EINSTAR 1 allows you to go down to 0.2 millimeters for resolution. EINSTAR 2, from what I've seen, is only 0.5. So that's medium res on the first generation. So unfortunately, I can't do a high scan on this because it wouldn't be fair. So to compare actual quality apples to apples, we're gonna make sure we go to medium, and we're gonna scan the side of the motor using medium settings. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press play. There we go. We're gonna bump up brightness. And what I'll do is, like I mentioned, the field of view of the EINSTAR 2 seemed larger, so I think it's just using 600 by default, maybe more, but we'll use that as well, so that way we have that. And so, as you can see, I love this thing. I will never sell this unit unless I get something way more expensive and better, but this thing is fantastic. I really like the data quality indicator in the first software as well. Green is good, red is bad. It's very easy to understand, very easy to see how your scanning process is going. So what I'm gonna do is just scan the motor, just the side, because I don't wanna do too much. And we'll just compare the two results. So let me pause the recording for the moment, and we'll just fast forward to the preview of the point cloud and such. Okay, and this is the scan. So like I mentioned, I'm only focused on getting the side. We're not doing a whole motor scan. I'm just going to do connected geometry, invert, delete whatever is not connected. And then we have a little bit of this ground down here. So I'm just gonna delete that. Delete selected, there we go. Okay, and so as much as I hate it, to be fair, I'm gonna have to do the whole optimized point cloud. Unfortunately, just because that's what the software for EINSTAR 2 forces me to do with the IR mode. So let me wait on this to process, and then we'll just do that. Okay, and like I mentioned, there we go. So optimize and generate point clouds. So we're going to do that just because that's the only mode that we're allowed to do with the other one. So we're just going to do that. And then we're going to mesh the model and export it out. And I guess I'll upload these STLs as well. So that way, in case someone else wants to compare the two and really like look around and see what is what, you're more than welcome to. All right, there is my scan data. And what I'm going to do is mesh the model. Again, no filtering, no nothing. We're just leaving it as is. The one thing I will say I've learned with the EINSTAR 1, see how it gets like these like waviness in the scan? That's the distance. If you keep the distance around that 400 mark, it actually does much better. But anyhow, for the sake of trying to compare the two, The field of view of EINSTAR 2 does seem better, so I had to go to 600 just to try to level the playing field, if you will. So, okay, I'm going to export the scan, save locally. So we'll just save that. And then we'll grab that one and do the same exact concept and see how that looks. Okay, got it on. Let's make sure it's connected. There we go, perfect. Let's create a new project group and we'll go into compare, select E2, motor, confirm. We're doing an IR scan, and here's the deal. Like I mentioned, high quality is 0.5, unfortunately. So we're gonna do features, medium, so apples to apples, there we go. Now we'll turn on the preview mode. And there we go, it's picking it up right away. So we're just gonna start scanning away, just like the other one. I will say, just using the EINSTAR one and walking around the wires, having to step over them, move them, this thing is awesome. The convenience of scanning with this is fantastic. So I'm just doing what I did on the other one, just moving around, capturing as much of the side as I can. And I want to say this one picks up details better, like the scanning elements. But we'll compare the data and see how it looks like on the computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the recording because this is not the important part. The scanning process isn't the important part. It's how the scan data looks compared to the other unit. Okay, just finished the scan. Again, just going for the side, not overachieving with the whole engine here. All right, so let's just select this. And now, just like I mentioned, this doesn't give you that option to do a different point cloud, so we'll just click that. And again, this is apples to apples, same exact process. And yeah, so we're gonna let this do its magic, and then we're gonna mesh the model and spit him out, and then hop on the desktop in my office and then compare. And then I'll do like a final conclusion of my opinion of the unit now that I've used it a little more. Now here's the deal, I have not used it for a real job yet. And when I say real job, for me, it's making carbon fiber parts. So for those that know my channel, know that's what I focus on. For those that don't, because I am posting this in the 3D scanning group, these are the things I make. Parts like this, things for the back end. So I've designed this right here, I've designed this, and I've scanned my bumper using the EINSTAR 1. And as you can see, the fitment is pretty darn good. It's really good actually, especially here because this has fine bends and indents in the body, and it's just fantastic. So the EINSTAR 1 does very good with capturing shapes and smooth data. I can't say the EINSTAR 2 does or does not do a good job at it simply because I have not used it on a carbon fiber project. But what I will be doing is reviewing the data, comparing the two side by side, and posting my opinion analysis online. And okay, so here is the point cloud. Now we're just gonna mesh the model. Just like the other one, we're not doing any filtering, no optimization, none of that nonsense. Just removing all these options, no simplification, nothing. Click preview. There we go, confirm. Export scan locally. And let's see, where are we? All right, STL and OBJ. And so I'll export that out. And I actually want to do one more test. So what I'm gonna do is go to finished. I want to do a small object mode without using the lasers. I just want to do small object IR mode and take a look at this. So let's do E2, small. Here we go. And then what we're going to do is small objects, go as high as we could go, and just features. And the area that I'm going to focus on is just kind of right here, this little spot. And what I'll do is I'll just tuck this wire back here, or this hose, so that way it's not in the way. And I just want to see what kind of details the small object scan does. and if it does a better job scanning with the EINSTAR 2 versus EINSTAR 1. Because this is, again, while the lasers are nice, this is also a good thing to see. Data indicators looking good. So here's, like I mentioned, just a little area, and this is kind of like an icing on the cake test, just to see what it does. So we're going to connect it, invert, delete, and yeah, so let's remove some of this other stuff. I'm just going to cut that off like so, and I'll just leave the rest. Okay, so we're going to press OK. And now we're just gonna do again, so IR mode, so yep, so can't do any other point cloud method, so we'll do that. And then I'll mesh the model here in a second, we'll take a look at it. All right, here is the point cloud, perfect. And now we're just gonna mesh the model. Again, make sure it's all set to none. No simplification, none of that BS. There we go. All right, confirm. Export scan locally, so we are doing E2, whoops, E2, small, OBJ and STL, and then let me turn this off. I'll just make sure. You just press and hold it, and then it turns off. And I'm going to do the same exact region on the first EINSTAR, and we'll take a look at how that looks like. All right, we're doing a compare. E1, small. Okay, confirm. So small objects. So see, again, this one goes to 0.1. So 0.2 was as low as the EINSTAR 2 could go. So we'll do that. Features. And that's it. So let's take a look at what this looks like. And then on brightness, I'll just do full brightness. Data quality indicator, perfect. Just point distance. Oh, that's the quality. All right, so let's just turn on the preview mode. Let's see if it's even picking it up. It does pick it up, perfect. And we'll just start scanning away. All right, so this is kind of what I got for the moment. I'm not gonna get more. I will say this, the tracking on this thing is so much better in small object mode. This thing is just not very fun. So whatever EINSTAR Shining 3D did to improve the tracking, this thing's fantastic. So it does make it very nice to even scan in small object mode. And again, the wires, stepping around, moving around, and when you're scanning with this one in small object mode, the tracking does want to get lost very quickly. So that did make life so much easier being wireless. So let's do that. Again, we have to do the optimized one. So we'll do that, and then I'll just record here once the meshing stage begins. All right, here is our point cloud. It does look fantastic. So let's make sure none of this stuff is on. All right, preview, confirm. Then we'll export it out and then go sit down in the office. So export the thing locally, compare, E1, small, OBJ and STL. There we go. So I'm gonna start recording my monitor, and then we'll take a look at how all these things look. All right, so figured we will do the comparison now. And again, I uploaded all the files so you could take a look at it for yourself. Now, here's the deal. Einstein 1, I used that 600 distance instead of 400, which is the default. And like I said, I have noticed in the past that it does create an issue with quality. And that's what we have here. Some of this like banding look, that's
that's due to that distance. So it would have been better if I left it at 100, but it is what it is. So here's what we're seeing with the Einstein 1. Wow, it's playing worse. And then here's what we see with the second one. So the second one, what I'm noticing is, again, the field of view and the capturing, the tracking is better. So we do have more information captured. The one thing I've noticed with Einstein 2 is the surfaces get a little bit more kind of like orange peel to them. Now, granted, this is right here, this is the banding that I'm talking about. This isn't the surface finish. This is more of a banding issue. Where, as you can see here, you get a lot of this like orange peel. Like on the hose, for example, you get a lot of orange peel, but it's not crazy. So it still looks really good. So that is really nice to see, and it captured the details of the exhaust way better than the first one. So that's nice. Now let's go to frame 2. So we're gonna go on the close-up. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. Again, the second one captured more information, which is really good. And because it's capturing more information, it actually captured more information with more detail just because of how it's doing it. So this is looking really nice. See how this is nice and round? So definitely beautiful data. Now we're going to number 3, slide 3. So this is the first one. This is the second one. So overall, I think the second one does look much better. It's just based on what it's capturing. As you can see here, we get more orange peel on the blacks, where the first one is actually capturing the blacks a little bit better. So that's what I'm noticing on my end. And like the hose details on the Einstein 1 is coming in a little better than Einstein 2. And the surface on this case cover right here is a little smoother on the first one. So now let's go to shot 4. So Einstein 1 right here. But then the second one. So as you can see, the second one does get a little bit more orange peel. But it is capturing more data. The first one does, however, capture a little bit more like crispy data, if you will. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. And then we'll go to the final shot. So overall, based on how I scanned it, maybe it could have been better scanned as well. I'd say they're as good. I cannot say the second one is better or worse, because what I'm seeing here is this Einstein 2 creates a little bit more of an orange peeled surface, but Einstein 1, it just takes a lot of time to scan because of the tracking and the field of view. It captures less information, so you have to spend a little bit more time scanning, and it not being wireless is a little bit more annoying to move around. Again, not a deal breaker for me. However, this unit does make life a whole lot easier scanning. So this was the big scan. Now we'll go look at the fine detail scans. So let me hide all these. So let's take a look. So this is Einstein 1. This is the second one. So the first one, it really got all the details here. As you can see, it's really crispy. It's just beautiful. The second one, it's a little softer, and we'll take a look at different angles. However, as you can see, the second one, so I will say that Einstein 1, scanning small objects, the tracking is just quite a nightmare. It was very annoying to keep track of what I'm scanning. So that's why, like up here, for example, I don't have a lot of information with the OG, because it kept falling apart. It didn't want to track. However, on the side and such, it kept really good track, and that's why the Einstein 1 has a much more information on the side. So now let's go to frame 2. So overall, as you can see on the OG, we get a lot crispier details. And keep in mind, I had to go on medium res. So we're not even at the highest res that the original Einstein offers. So take that with a grain of salt, is we could get even better results than this. So that is also very important. I keep forgetting that. And because I had to do this stupid optimized point cloud, which I'm not a fan of, I don't know if that would have done even better results. So here we go. So here's the second one. Here's the first one. So here's the deal. The first unit captured the side amazing, but it really started suffering up here, where the second one, it actually held tracking very, very well. And that's why we're getting these beautiful details in the hardware, where this one barely even picked it up. Like, it was tough to get this information up here. So this is where the Einstein 2's thriving, is that it's tracking. It's a lot better, which is really good. So as you can see, like here, it was hard for me to get anything up here. This one, it captured it very well. And then last but not least, I thought this was really cool to see. So see how I have some of the debris in the top of the case cover? Einstein 1, it did pick it up, but it's kind of gooey. So this one, again, we're using the same resolution, same settings, everything. This one just did a better job because it's better at picking up and tracking and holding true to the scan. So this one did so much better. So again, pros and cons to each one, because we couldn't do the same quality because Einstein 2 offers a little less res, if you will, than Einstein 1. However, it is wireless. It was a lot easier to keep track of, and it tracked way better. Like, see, we couldn't even keep any of this information with the OG, where this one got all this, and it started picking up the branding. So it's a tough one. See, this has such beautiful smooth surface up here, where this one has more of that orange feel. So overall, if I'm comparing the two, I would say Einstein 2, well, let me just do a summary review video, and then we'll kind of mention that information there. So I'll just do a final recap now.
Okay, I figured I'd make kind of like a recap. I took some notes of pros, cons, and opinions. So overall, I like EINSTAR 2. I think it's a wonderful scanner. At the moment of me making this this video, I have no idea the cost. So I don't know what its price mark is compared to this thing, which I think you can get these now brand new for right around that $800 mark. So these are very affordable, very high quality scanners, which is awesome. So with that being said, the pros. So the speed at which you can scan is fantastic. It being wireless, you just walk around and the field of view makes the tracking fantastic. It really holds true and it works great. So I'm really, really happy with how easy it is to use. I was a little concerned with it being wireless and the fact that it is transferring data from the scanner to the computer, or utilizing the computer power. Whatever they did, whatever Shining 3D did to make it works great. So the speed, performance-wise, is good. The scanning speed is great, and the convenience of speed is fantastic. So that's the good thing. So overall, very good quality, and very good in terms of doing as good or better than the original, which is very important, because if you make another unit more expensive, newer, and you do worse, that's not a good thing. With that being said, the EINSTAR 1 does offer a little higher res to scan in, but I assume that comes at a cost with it being wired. This is wireless, and it's so much smaller. So again, I don't know the ins and outs of the manufacturing process and such. However, great quality. The size of it, as I mentioned, is smaller than the original one, which makes it very easy to get in very tight spaces for scanning. So when I was scanning the motor, getting underneath and around is very convenient. And rotate, because sometimes I like to rotate the scanner so it's not always vertical. I like to go horizontal and move and shift and let the tracking kind of flow around the details. This being wired, you're always having to kind of work away. And then because the wire comes out, you're also limited by the movement. So this being small, you could rotate, and very nice to do that kind of movement with. The battery comes with 2 batteries. I've done various scans because I've done a previous scan of the motor, and I've done some scans of my car wheel just to test the quality. I think I'm at 70% on battery life, and I've scanned, not a crazy amount, but enough where 70% on battery life is good considering it's scanning. And then on top of that is there's another battery. So you charge one, you swap them out, charge the other. It's very smooth workflow where you don't have to be limited by that. Now, that being said, you can also hardwire it, and you can scan with a wire. So if battery life is an issue and you're on location or whatever, and you need to be wired, you could wire it up too. And that is the other thing. It still takes a good laptop. You can't get away with a bad laptop. So like the laptop that I was using for scanning, if I don't have it plugged in, it goes into like limp mode, if you will, where the performance isn't that great. And when I was trying to scan with this unit, because I just want to see how it performs, when it went in limp mode, my scan was stuttering. It was like bad frame rate. So it is very important that you have a good laptop still. So that's another thing to think of. Again, I don't know the price of that, but under $800 still requires a good laptop. Whatever the price of this is, still requires a good laptop. So you're not saving money on a cheap laptop with either or. Now, that's kind of like the pro side. It's a very good unit, so I have nothing crazy negative to say, but there are a few things. When I was comparing various scans, and these are scans not in this video, but just other scans, and I've reached out to EINSTAR, shared it with them, or Shining 3D, and they've sent the information to their technicians. I did notice, just apples to apples, doing the same exact scan, this one slightly gave me some, I guess you say gooier details. But the difference is when I processed the data, I went with the OG one, and I did not optimize the point cloud the first time. Where when we did this video, I optimized the point cloud on both because that's the only thing you're allowed to do with the software for the second one. And maybe that's where the hiccup came from. So maybe if Shining 3D changed that feature on the software and allowed you to not optimize the point cloud, maybe the results will be as good or better on this unit. So maybe that could be the source of that problem. I did notice the second one generating a little bit more orange peel on smooth parts. This one does that as well. It's not like a perfectly buttery smooth surface, but I did notice this, the EINSTAR 2 does pick up a little bit more orange peel. And maybe that's just because when I was scanning it, I didn't get enough of scan at various angles. However, I'll get to that part on the software review or opinions on the software. But again, slightly more orange peel. The one thing I think it needs a case cover of some sort. With this thing, even though it's not wireless, usually when I'm scanning, I do like to put my hand through this loop and the nice grip. So this is very nice. So if you drop it, you have like a buffer. This being so small and so compact, and I've even like moved it around from hand to hand at times just because why not? There's no wires. I could see this being a hazard of accidentally getting dropped, and I would hate to know what kind of damage gets done when you drop something like this. And it has, like, for example, the EINSTAR N1, it has an actual, in the unit, a design for this loop. EINSTAR N2 does not. So this does not have any holes where you could add a strap to, which to me seems like they didn't think about that, because if you're wireless, think of it like the Wii remotes and such. You want to have some kind of buffer in case you dropped it. That, in my opinion, is a big overlook. I wish they would have done something to add a strap feature, so that way you do have that safety measure. The grip on the side is nice, so it does hold nicely in your hand. It's not glossy, but again, it's the whole what if moment, and that would have been a nice thing to have. The one thing I've noticed when doing larger scales, like more detailed scans, this had an issue of disconnecting on me, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's so new and the software is so new, it will get fixed eventually. But I've had a few times where it disconnects and reconnects. And so then you have to turn on the preview mode again, drag it to the object, and initiate the scan again. So that was the one thing that I have noticed happen a few times. It's not a deal breaker for me. It tracks very well and it got focused very quickly, but it did disconnect a few times. So slightly lower res. And I mentioned, I don't know why they did it, but it is what it is. This one scans at 0.5 as the high res spec in the software, where Einstein 1 scans at 0.2. So this one will give you a little bit more detail in the scan compared to this one. However, you kind of pick your battles. Wireless, faster scanning, easier to move around. Wired, you gotta, move around a little slower. But again, I've used this for a long time. The wire doesn't get in my way. Once you adapt to how to use it, it's a wonderful tool. They're both wonderful scanners. So this is just opinions and information that I'm sharing. The one thing I do not like, and again, this is just me, personal preference, is this uses Wi-Fi for the signal. It's not Bluetooth, but I assume Wi-Fi transfers information faster because I have a wireless module for my camera when I do photography that also uses Wi-Fi. The reason why I don't like that is sometimes when I'm on location, for example, with this unit, I'll host a Wi-Fi hotspot from my phone, and then that way I could still be using the internet while on location. With this, because it uses a Wi-Fi signal, if you want to be wireless, your laptop can't have an internet connection unless it's hardwired. So you either hardwire this unit and don't use Wi-Fi, or you use Wi-Fi and no internet on the laptop. So again, this is just information. I personally don't like it. However, it's again, probably the price to pay of it being wireless and transferring information so quickly. Now, the last but not least is the software. So I know I've mentioned it many times in my video. It's the optimized point cloud. I don't like that. I don't want to optimize anything. I want to use raw point clouds and let it do what it does. And I wonder if that's why I've noticed a little bit crispier data coming out of this compared to this, because, well, not on the preview you saw. This one actually did better than this on the scans that we just did. However, when I did a wheel of my GTRs, I scanned the wheel. I did exactly the same stuff, and this one had less information than this one. But that's because on this unit, I did the field of view to 400, not 600, so I didn't do that. And then the other thing is when I did the meshing, I did the normal point cloud non-optimized. So I wonder if Shining 3D added that feature where you don't have to optimize the point cloud. I wonder if that would improve the quality even more of this unit. The one thing I do like about the software is the thumbnails. It's kind of like the Vegas software. I'm a huge fan of that. You go to homepage, you look at the thumbnails of the scans. It's a very, very nice way to kind of look at your scans. The one thing I don't like about the software, the EINSTAR Hub, and again, it's a new one, so maybe they'll fix it eventually. I cannot connect to my network. So usually when I'm scanning with this unit, and if I'm scanning at my house, whether it's in the shop or indoors, I have my laptop always connected to my network. So when I scan, I actually scan the data, instead of it being on the local computer, I scan it to my server. And then that way I don't have to transfer anything. It's already on the server. It's great. The EINSTAR Hub software for this unit does not allow that. It does not, like, I have my network maps drive, or my network drives mapped, and that's how the original software picks it up. This one doesn't even recognize it. So even though it's mapped, the software for the EINSTAR 2 does not recognize that. I don't know if I was calling it EINSTAR. So that was the other thing I did not like about the software right now. But again, it's a new software, so they could probably fix it, update it. That's kind of up to Shiny 3D and what they choose to do. But those were more or less my only opinions. With that being said, I don't know how much this thing is going to cost. The laser mode is awesome. You saw the monster top cap we scanned. Looks fantastic. I'm saving that. That's going to be in my little inventory of assets for my work related items. So it does do really good with those really crispy details on the laser mode. That is a really cool feature to have. The only thing I don't like about the laser mode is it forces you to have tracking markers. I don't like tracking markers. I like using features. So usually like with this one, if I scan anything that needs markers, I use rags and they work really, really well. So the fact that lasers do force you to use markers, I'm not a big fan of. So I don't know how often I'm going to use laser mode, let alone deal with the markers aspect. I have that mat, which is great if you're scanning small items. A while back, I did a job and I had a Lexus RCF vent that I had to scan. It was very tiny. I could see this being really good for that. But it's one of those things. It's a right tool for the right job. So overall, my opinions, if you were to buy one, I don't know what the price of the EINSTAR 2 is. I don't know. So I can't say price-wise which one I would go for. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, this is $1,000, which is not. And this is $1,200. So the $200, which again, don't quote me on anything. I don't know anything. I'm just saying hypothetically speaking. This one does a little better quality. This one doesn't reach the specs of this one. However, it's wireless. I'd go with this unit. So even though I'm sacrificing a little bit of quality, the convenience of speed and size and moving around is really comfortable. It's really exciting to scan, get in and get out. Again, unlike the Vega, and I'm not comparing it to the Vega because that's a whole different type of unit. The Vega having the screen and it being like in your hands is great. This one does require a laptop, so you still have to have a laptop present. However, because it is wireless, you could reposition the laptop in any perspective that makes it easy for you to look at. However, with this one, the wires, there's two options, the laptop and then the wires to move around. So overall, tomorrow we're going to find out on the 10th, the price of how much this is going to be. I'm very curious myself. I'm very thankful to Shining 3D for sending me this unit to test out. They're not paying me anything. They're not giving me a unit. They're taking it back after the trial period. So all these opinions are just my honest opinions. I don't do fake reviews. I'm not really chasing any of those kind of things. I agree with them. If you send me something, I'm going to share my honest opinion. And overall, I'm very happy with the unit. I think they did a wonderful job. There were a few like hiccups, like the disconnecting, the Wi-Fi, which is opinion based. It still works great. Optimized point cloud, I think that's my biggest nag with the software. But overall, wonderful unit, very convenient, great battery life, and scan quality is great. So you really can't ask for much more. It's wonderful progress from Shiny 3D with taking what was already an amazing scanner. Like this scanner, I love. And they just found a way to add a few more bells and whistles to it and take away something like the wire and make it a great unit. And it's really easy. Press it, you're ready to go. The battery thing is magnetic based, so it's not like you have to like try to take it out. They have this track which makes the battery very easy to take in and out. So overall, this unit is very user friendly, ready to scan away, and it connects to the software. No issues. Even though the software isn't like official, I guess, it hooked up immediately for me. It worked fantastic. So they did a wonderful job. Thank you, Shiny 3D, for the opportunity. I'll put a link in the comments for the assets so everyone can take a look. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.